Hello, everyone. Welcome to another workshop by Tayos. So, today we have with us Mrs. Archana Sampath. Hello, Archana. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Welcome to our workshop.
My pleasure.
It's so good to have you with us today. So, I'll very briefly introduce you to our audience. Uh, Archana has been involved in gardening since childhood, and her passion has led her to making these beautiful bottle gardens, which are commonly known as terrariums. And her bottle gardens are very popular among her family and friends. And now she has even started her own venture in making these terrariums. So today she will show us how we can make our own very own little bottle gardens and enjoy their beauty for a long time. And you can connect with her on her Instagram page called Earthy Elves, where she shares her beautiful creations. And we are all very excited to learn this beautiful art from you today. So, without any further delay, let's get started. Over to you.
Right. Thank you, Zaira. Well,
You're
as
welcome.
you are excited about having me, I'm excited about talking about the garden because this is my passion. I'm always excited about talking about plants and gardens. So that is a favorite subject. And telling you about myself, I started gardening with my siblings as a small child, and that continued. Then I had a brief spell where I was not doing gardening at all. Then, as I got the time, I started all over again and started creating. The first bottle garden that I created was maybe I must have been around 14 years old. That must be around 40 years back. And the second one I made was 20 years back. And both of them lasted a long time. The second one I remember clearly lasted for good 3 years.
Wow,
And
amazing.
right. So then I thought I should start making. I started gifting them to my colleagues and to my family and friends, and that is how this got carried forward. Where my children, my husband, they all encouraged me, and they said that you should take this forward. It is a unique thing that you're doing, and here I am.
And yeah, it's a most beautiful gift that we can give someone, handmade and made with love.
Definitely. I always believe that they are better than bouquets. Bouquets, you give flowers, they will last you for a day or two, maximum 3 or 4. But
Yes.
this would definitely last longer, much, much longer.
Yes, and we can see them growing. Like bouquets will wilt after some time, but this is something live and it will keep growing with time.
That's right.
You can continue and tell us how to make these beautiful creations.
Right. So the first thing that I would all like to tell everybody is that these can be made. These are best made in the glass bottles or glass jars. Uh, I do not advocate use of plastic. I will. I have never done it in plastic, and the reason the plastic turns hazy after some time because these gardens last a long time. The visibility should be clear. That is the reason why I do not use plastic and I do not advise using plastic. As you must know that after some time, when it is the plastic is exposed to light, it turns hazy, it turns opaque, it's not clear, the visibility is not clear.
Yes, yes.
So that is
It
the
gets
reason why.
discolored.
That's right. So that is the reason why I say that glass is the best suited medium to do this. It could be any glass. It should not be colored glass. We get bottles in different colors. It can be done only in transparent glasses, like you see the one that I have made over here. This is a transparent white glass. These are
Yes.
some of the bottles which I have. You can do it. This is an olive bottle. You can do it in this also. Then I have made this This is the one that I made yesterday night. I have not capped it as yet. It is in the
Okay.
process of being made, so I just kept it just to show that these you can
Wow.
also do it in these bottles. You can do it in the jars.
Lovely.
This is the jar. I think you can see that.
Yes, yes.
And today we are going to do it in this jar.
Oh, a small
So
spice jar that we commonly use in our kitchens.
that's right. So anything, any shape, any bottle, any jar, any size, you can convert it into a garden.
Okay.
So, and about doing how to do it, the more important thing is the plants that you select. The plants that you select should be suitable for the environment. First of all, let us talk about the bottle garden. How does it sustain itself? It is a self-sustaining garden because once I have closed it, I do not advocate opening it at all. So this
Okay.
one I have made it 6 months ago and I have not opened it.
Wow.
This is
Wonderful.
this is another one. The visibility is not very clear because this is a very old bottle, more than
Okay.
3 years old, and this has not been opened at all in these 3 years.
Wow. That's
So
amazing.
yeah. So my take on a closed terrarium, successful closed terrarium is that if you have created a closed terrarium, you are not going to open it. It survives. If it survives that, that means you have been successful at making it. If you have to open it, that means that it's not a successful closed terrarium. You can call it a terrarium, but not a closed terrarium. So that is, and the working, you will be, I think the next question that comes to the mind is that if you have closed it, how about watering it?
Yes, yes. That's the first thing. Yeah.
Because that is the first thing that people ask me, that how do you water it? If you're saying that you have not opened it, then how do the plants survive inside if you have not watered it? Well, my answer to that is that on this jar, if you see, I have watered it just when the time I have made it. I have not watered it again. You will
Okay.
see small vapors if that is visible to you.
Yes, it will take a few seconds to focus.
Right. So
Yeah.
there's a formation of vapor on the glass surface.
Okay.
So the water condenses inside. The water that you've added at the time of making the steranium condenses and falls down. And that is how the plants get the water. You don't need to water it. If your
Okay.
condensation
Lovely.
is happening properly, that means you no need to open it to water it.
All right. So the process of evaporation and moisture that is retained in the bottle is enough for the plant to survive.
That's right. And there's another process. Like we all know that plants give out oxygen at a certain time. They give out carbon dioxide. That's a cycle the plants
Yes.
follow. So that is how the plants get the oxygen that is required, and the oxygen, giving out of oxygen and carbon dioxide, helps in condensation also. It
Okay.
creates a temperature inside the terrarium.
Okay. Wow. So it's like creating their own environment inside and having their own ecosystem
That's
and
right.
adapting themselves to strive in that.
That's right. Many times, if you have made a terrarium and it is an old terrarium, you will find small snails. So that
Oh,
is how it is like living. It is living on its own. You have not put
okay.
in the snail. It has come into the the existence of the plants is you know uh, giving life in the jar.
Oh, wow. So yeah, They support growth and birth of all these other creations also,
That's right.
insects.
So that is one aspect. Now, understanding what a closed terrarium is, like I always say that if you have made a closed terrarium, if you're saying that it is a closed terrarium, once you have closed it, do not open it. If there is
Okay.
a need to open it, that means your terrarium is not a successful closed terrarium.
Okay, okay. That would require a lot of practice.
That's right.
Yeah.
You learn with time. You need a lot of practice understanding the plants, understanding the need of the plant. All that is, it's all practice. You
Yeah,
learn with time. You keep doing it, you keep learning.
exactly.
And
uh,
whatever I am doing at the time when I had started doing, there was not much information available. We did not have access to internet at that time. We didn't know what internet was.
yes.
So this was whatever I have started. It was first just on intuition, like looking at the plant, and you would feel, okay, I think this will survive in the terrarium. This will survive in the bottle. Let's try it. That is how I have been doing it. It is all my terrariums are all intuition.
Oh, wow. So it's all like your own with your own experiences you have learned what makes a best terrarium.
That's right. So over the time, there are plants which I have recognized are you can successfully add them to the terrarium and they will survive. Now another thing is, I have seen many people. I have seen many people doing these terrariums, and they put beautiful pictures, lovely pictures, very attractive. But the first picture that I see is that the terrarium is full. I mean, the plant has filled up the jar or the bottle.
Okay.
I differ on that. I would always say that you should have the plants suitable to the size of the jar. There should be enough space for the plant to breathe in the jar, for the plant to grow in the jar.
Yes,
So
definitely.
keep some space in the jar. Don't fill it up.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
time goes, as the plants will grow, they will get filled up itself, and it would be a joy to watch them fill up your jar.
Yes. It's similar to like when we do gardening, we advise people to space the seeds and give them, a little distance, place them at a little distance so that they have place to grow.
That's right.
So
The
it's
same thing.
the same thing for the terrarium as well. Yeah.
Yes. See, for growth, you have to give space. There has to
Yes.
be space for growth. If there's no space for growth, where will the plant grow? Ultimately, if it does not get a chance to grow, it is going to die.
Yeah. That's true.
So, that is one of the reasons why people would not be successful with a terrarium, with a closed one.
Yeah. So initially, when we plant, it will look very scanty and empty. The bottle will look very empty,
Yeah,
but
see, this is
eventually, with time,
right. See, this is one of the terrarium that I have made recently. I have left space in this. It
yeah,
is not filled up.
it looks very beautiful. Yeah, just like a tree, a big long tree in the forest. It looks like you've put them in a miniature jar.
Thank you so much. So this is how I have done it. I have left ample space for it to grow, lengthwise and breadthwise.
Yes.
So that is my take on how you should like plan your terrarium.
So I
You
can
plan
see
your
one.
plants accordingly.
Sorry to interrupt. Is there a driftwood inside the jar? I can see something.
It is a driftwood, the
Yes.
brown brown thing.
Uh huh.
This is driftwood. These are all just to give it a good look, decorative thing, like to give
Yeah.
it a more natural look.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a lot of questions coming in. Can we take a few questions before we
Sure,
proceed?
sure.
How do you provide fertilizer? Like, do the plants need any kind of fertilizer or for growth hormone something?
No, I do not add any fertilizers. I do not advise adding fertilizers. If your soil is good, then you
Okay.
don't need to, because there is a cycle happening inside the terrarium. There will be leaves falling down, decaying,
Uh-huh.
composting.
Oh, wow,
So
beautiful.
that
So
will
we
take
get
time.
to see all that, the whole cycle of renewal of leaves and life.
That's right. There will be times when you will see fallen leaves. The leaves are fallen down. So don't get alarmed. It is the life cycle of a plant. They will shed leaves,
Okay.
and that is the ecosystem. Like, that is how they're going to survive. That is how they're going to make their own fertilizers, manures, whatever you call it. So they're going to get it from the leaves that are fallen down.
Yes, definitely. So they have their own time of shedding leaves, or is it similar to the plant that is surviving
It could
outside?
be, no, it could be any time. It depends from plant to plant. You cannot
Okay.
set a time that, okay, this is the month, or this is the date, or this is the time when the plant is going to shed the leaves. It is all in nature. It is going to happen on its own.
Okay. Like we have autumn season for shedding leaves. So is it the same for these plants also, or they have their own time zone?
No, no, I have not defined. I have no definition, definite time for the plants shedding leaf inside the jar. It could happen anytime.
Oh, wow. So they have their own life. They have their own seasons, we can say.
Yes, because they are creating their own ecosystem inside the jar.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, we have one more question. What to do with the excess water? Like you have talked about the vapor and the condensation in the bottle. So if it becomes too much, what can we do about it?
Well, at that in that case, then you will need to open the bottle. That means it's not been successful as it should have been.
Oh, okay. So that will again come with experience and trial and error to
That's right.
understand how much is enough.
That's right.
Okay, one more question about jars from Arundhati. What should be the ideal size of the jars to be used?
Any size. See, as I said, it can be any size. I have a terrarium this small. I have a one which is much more smaller than this.
Okay,
You can make it any size. You can take a bottle of any size. Once you have the bottle, then you need to get a plant accordingly. Or if you have a plant that you want to put into the terrarium, then you decide the size of the jar.
oh, okay.
I mean, it is all subjective. There's no definite size that you should use. I have used all different sizes, and again, the plants that you put into the jar have to be according to the size of the jar or the bottle.
Yes. And vice versa. If we have selected the
That's
plant
correct.
first, then we need to select the jar according to that.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. So we can we proceed to the selection of plants as you were talking about?
Yes. So to get plants for the bottles and the jar, it has always been, you know, it's been very challenging to get the
Uh-huh.
correct size, because to get big plants, it is very easy. But to get
Yes.
tiny plants, to get small plants, that is the toughest part. And that is where these terrariums and the person who's making terrariums has put in real good effort to do that, to get those plants.
Okay.
So, first of all, there are a few plants that you can, I will give you the names of a few plants that you can use in the terrarium. One is Fittonia, or the nerve plant. I can show you one that I am going to use today. This is red. You can use the green also. There are different colors that you get, green, pink.
Uh-huh.
These are very suitable for closed terrarium. The size also, I mean, these are small plants with small roots. So these are very ideal for the terrarium.
Okay. So these plants are bought from the nursery.
Yes, you. You need to keep hopping nurseries to get the right plants.
Okay.
So this is another one, that is Aurelia. I have managed to get a small one
Oh, wow.
so that I can put it into a jar or a bottle. Normally, the Aurelias are big plants.
Yeah, this looks like a big plant in itself, but planted in a small miniature container.
That's right. So it gives a very nice look to the terrarium. It gives a tree sort of a look to the terrarium, that you've planted a tree inside.
Yeah. It looks like a mature tree, but in a miniature form.
That's right. So this is the one that I have used in this bottle.
Okay.
This is the
Wow.
Aurelia.
Beautiful.
Then the
It's
next plant.
amazing to see like how you've managed to get that plant inside the bottle with a narrow neck.
Yes, that is another technique, and many people are surprised. That how did you manage to get the plant inside the bottle? So that is another technique. How to put that plant inside the bottle. Then moving to the next plant, we have the syngoniums. This is a pink syngonium. You can use any syngonium. There are many varieties of syngonium that you get.
Okay.
So you can use any syngonium. Syngoniums do well in a bottle garden. You can use pothos. Okay, this is the one I have. If you can see, there's a tiny pothos inside. When I
Yes.
planted it, it had two leaves. Now it has got four.
Oh, wow.
So this one was like, I was just looking at my plants. I have the habit of looking at my plants every day. So I found this small, tiny thing growing, and it was like, God sent. And I had this bottle. At once, it went into the bottle.
Oh, lovely.
So the pothos do well in the terrarium, and the silver, the I okay, that is the aluminium plant. They call it aluminium plant. It has got silver lines on top. I wonder
Okay.
if it is visible. Can you see that?
Yes, yes.
That is another plant that does well in the terrarium.
Okay.
I don't remember the botanical name, but it is called the aluminium plant. The nursery people call it aluminium plant.
Okay.
And yes, these are a few plants. Then there are complex plants, expensive ones, the exotic plants that are also used in the terrarium. So, but first, I think if you start with these basic plants, and if you're successful with these, then you can always check on my Instagram page, Earthy Elves, where I shall be uploading pictures and things about the exotic plants as well, which can go into the terrarium.
Okay, wonderful. So, do you always use plants with roots or can we use cuttings as well?
Yes, I was just coming to you
Okay.
on roots. So the roots are very important for the plant that you put into the terrarium. It has to be a very well-rooted plant. The cuttings
Okay.
will not survive in the terrarium, and you have to plan your terrarium according to the length of the root. Like if the aralias will have big roots,
All right.
so you will need to have a bottle of that height, because the roots that are going to go into the soil are going to take that space. And the plant that you show above the soil, that needs more space. That there should be enough space for the plant to grow on top.
Okay.
So if the root is say about 1 inch or 1.5 inch, that much is going to go into the soil. So that much space is going to be covered in the soil. And above that, you need space for the length of the plant plus extra space for it to grow.
Yes.
So the roots are very important. Aurelia has big roots, Petunias have small roots. So understanding the root also of a plant is very important before you put it into the jar.
Oh, okay. So, normally when we for plants that we propagate, some people propagate in water, some people propagate them in soil. So, doesn't that work in this? Like, it will grow its own roots over time, and then it will eventually develop into a plant.
No, I have seen that the cuttings do not survive in the terrarium. The plant has to
Okay,
be a rooted plant.
okay, okay. So, there's one more question. If the water is less, then like, is there any specific sign, and how do we know that the water that we have added is less for the plant?
If the condensation is not happening on the bottle,
Uh-huh.
it means the water is not enough.
Okay.
Again, it's not a successful closed terrarium. You will need to open it and add more water.
Okay. And how much soil to add in the beginning? I think we were coming towards that.
See, again, as I said, soil again depends. The amount of soil needed is according to the root of the plant,
Okay.
the size of the root, because you got to cover the roots.
Yes.
The
So,
roots cannot be big.
what is the soil mixture that you use initially for the
Well,
arrangement?
mine is a prepared soil, and I do not add coco peat or anything. There is it is just plain soil which I prepare.
Okay, plain garden soil.
That's right.
Okay. Amazing. And we see some gravel and stones also along with the soil.
That's right.
So is that necessary or is just for aesthetic looks?
It is necessary, and it is necessary for the aesthetic looks also.
Oh, okay. So can you tell us little more about the soil and how to, add it, and what is the amount of water that we need to add initially?
See, as I said, that this you will learn with experience. You cannot measure the amount
Oh,
of water because it will all depend upon the size of your terrarium, the plant that you have put in. It will vary from each terrarium. It is like there's no specific fixed recipe for it. And as
okay.
I said, that it is like, you work with it, you will, maybe you will spoil three or four of them. Don't get disheartened, try again. You will understand things better once you have been unsuccessful. That is how I learned. And then your intuition, if you have plants, if you have been taking care of plants, you understand plants, you will know the amount of water that you need to add.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, those were some of the questions. You can proceed with what you wanted to tell us.
Right. So as I was just saying that I told you about the plants that can be used in the terrarium. I told you the kind of jar that you will need to use. It has to be a clear glass jar. The clarity should be there so that it absorbs the light.
Okay.
Now, the next thing that I would like to say is that these gardens, these bottles or the jars, you do not have to keep them in sunlight.
Oh, okay.
I mean, under no condition should they come in contact with direct sunlight. They have to be placed at a place where you get indirect light, indirect sunlight. You
All
can
right.
place it at a window or any place in your room, but no direct sunlight for it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and some people do they use lights. Welcome to do that if you have a dark corner, and if you're using those laser lights or grow lights or something, you're welcome to do that. You can do that if it is in a dark place, but otherwise, I mean, the plants will need light. You need to have light for the plants. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So
Now,
the room, what you're trying to say is the room light is enough if even if we don't give it the indirect sunlight, they will grow well in the room light.
that's right. There should be enough light. It should
Yeah.
not be dark.
And what is the reason why they should not be exposed to sunlight?
Well, the sunlight will upset the temperature inside the terrarium, because the
Okay.
plants are creating the temperature inside. When if you have made a terrarium and when you open the terrarium, when you have kept it in the room, when you open it and you see, you put your hand inside, there'll be warmth inside.
Oh, okay.
They've created their own temperatures. They have created what is suitable to them. They have adapted to it. So the direct sunlight will, hamper the temperature inside.
Oh, okay. Because is it because the the property of glass is to absorb the heat and light from outside, and it doesn't let it go back outside. So
That's
it
right, because
keeps
the
it
glass is
warmer.
going to take the heat.
Yes. And it makes it warmer and warmer, and the temperature rises, and I think the plants will not survive
That's
in
right.
that kind of temperature. Okay,
That's
interesting.
right.
So there's a lot of science behind this actually.
Yes, there's a lot of science, there's a lot of learning. One thing that you learn from doing these terrariums is that any life, any living being, how they adapt themselves to different, different space, different environment. They create it suitable for themselves. Like we as human beings also, we go to any other, like if you leave your home, you go to some other place, you stay in a hotel, you adapt yourself over there. The same
Yes.
way, the plants are adapting themselves in the space. Like, okay, had you kept it in the open, they would have, the size of the plant would have been different. It would have been a bigger size. But since it is in a jar, it has stunted its growth. That is
Yes.
another thing that I wanted to talk about. Like people often ask, once you have planted, like they have seen the bigger version of these plants, like the Aralia. It is a big plant, but when I put it in a bottle, they say "Ki, it's a big plant. Then how will it grow? Is it going to grow out of the bottle? And once it grows out of the bottle, then what we are supposed to do?" Like my answer to that is that yes, they will grow. I'm not saying that they will not grow, they will grow, but the pace of growth goes very slow, because the
Oh,
plant has adapted itself to that environment, to that
yes.
space that is available to them. They understand how much space they have. So they will adjust their growth according to the space and the environment, the temperature, everything that is available to them in that jar.
Yes.
So that is a wonderful thing about any human being, any living being, I would say. I don't know about animals much, because I have been more with plants. So understanding plants, it is amazing how they adapt themselves to the environment inside the jar. How they adapt their growth also. The leaves of the plant, if you see, if you have a terrarium and the one outside the terrarium, the leaves outside will be bigger. But once it is in a terrarium, the leaves become small, because it has stunted its growth according to the space that is available in the jar.
Yes. Definitely.
So that is how they adapt themselves to their environment inside.
Oh, wonderful.
So that is another thing. And yes, if you have made a successful terrarium, closed terrarium, the plants are going to grow big. There will be a time when you will feel that they're growing out of the bottle. They're growing, they need to grow out of the bottle, of out of the jar. Like if you open it, they're going to pop up. That is
Oh,
going to happen.
yeah.
So that is the time when you do a little maintenance for that jar.
Okay. And like as you have mentioned that this jar has not been opened for 6 months, and this other bottle that you showed has not been opened for 3 years.
That's right.
So till now they haven't needed any maintenance. So
No.
that's slow and that is the rate of growth. We can understand that how slow is the growth, that we can just forget about it for years
Yes, yes.
until we
Like if
have
you go
to
on my
practice.
Instagram, if you go and check on my Instagram page, I have put a picture of this one. Like
Okay.
what was the size of the plant at the time when I planted it and how big it is now.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Yeah, that would
Another
be
thing
interesting
that
to watch.
Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to talk about is the soil. How do you come to know about the terrarium being old terrarium? Because I have seen many people saying that they have terrariums and it's been how long, and they look very fresh.
Uh-huh.
Now, how do you judge? This is a very fresh terrarium. You look at the soil.
Yes.
When you look at the soil, you come to see that it looks fresh. The soil itself is looking very fresh.
Yes.
Now, there's a difference between these two. Look at the soil of these two.
Yeah, it looks very discolored, muddy, brownish, black colored.
That's right. So that shows that this has been a very old terrarium. It has sustained
Yeah.
itself for quite a long time.
Okay.
So that is another way of judging. If a person is saying that it has been 6 months or 8 months or a year old, you can judge that terrarium by looking at the soil.
Oh, wow. So, because of all the moisture inside, does it start growing moss also inside?
I have seen at times it does grow some few plants, like how you have these weeds, you have those growths like moss or algae that
Uh-huh.
can happen. But then again, as I said, that you will see some small insects also in the terrarium after a period of time. They That has been a mystery to me, because even I have not been able to figure out that how could a snail get into a terrarium, because it was not there when I planted my plants. So that is the the life is sustaining itself. It is giving growth also to these insects, to these small creatures.
Yes.
So that happens, and then when you have these small insects and these small creatures, many they eat up those moss and the extra growth that happens.
Oh, okay. Do they harm the plant in any way? Or is it healthy for the plant, for their ecosystem?
I beg your pardon.
These insects, when they start growing inside, are they harmful for the plant, or are they healthy for their ecosystem to survive?
Till now I have not seen any harm done to the plants,
Okay.
and they actually help in the ecosystem.
Okay. Great. Amazing. To see something live moving inside the terrarium would be really amazing.
Just a few days back I had a small snail in this one,
Oh,
a very tiny snail. Probably it is dead by now. So
yeah.
that is how, like, there's a life begins and a life ends. Some life is beginning inside, some life is ending inside. Like the whole chain of circle is going on inside there.
Yeah. So amazing. It's like a small world we can see, in our hands in the form of a jar.
That's right.
We have one question coming in from Plant Up with Sanchi. My plant got rot when I tried growing in terrarium. Can you please say the possible reasons?
Well, it would depend which plant it was, whether it was suitable for the terrarium or not, because not all plants are suitable to be put into a terrarium. As I said, not I not all plants can be planted in a terrarium. There are certain plants that are suitable for it. So it would definitely depend upon which plant it was, how was the root system, was the root healthy? Because before putting it into the terrarium, when I was talking about the roots, you also have to see to it that the roots are not infected, they are healthy roots.
Okay.
That could be the reason for it not surviving. It could be a reason that this plant was not suitable for a terrarium. It could be that the root was not healthy. It could be that there was too much of water. That is the reason why it rotted.
Okay.
So it could be various reasons why a plant rots into the terrarium.
Okay. So we have one more question from Anjana. Would
Mhm.
succulents do well in a closed terrarium?
No, succulents do not do well in a closed terrarium. They need an open environment, open dry environment, and in a closed terrarium, there is a lot of humidity. There is the temperatures are different. There is moisture, and succulents do not like moisture.
Okay.
Right. I
Okay.
see somebody talking about fern over here. Yes, that
Yeah.
is one plant which I forgot to mention. You can add fern also into the terrarium. They look lovely. They look fantastic.
Okay. That is Sanchi who had said that her plant did not survive in the terrarium. She said she has tried a fern.
Haha. The fern does very well in the terrarium. Probably the root of the fern was it well formed, and the amount of water.
Okay. Yeah. So we need to do a little trial and error ourselves and then learn to
That's
get a
right.
perfect terrarium.
That's right.
Okay. Amazing. So can we proceed to the next step?
Okay. Sure. So now when we are making a terrarium, as I said, we need a clear glass bottle. We've talked about the plants that we need. We talked about the roots of the plant. We've talked about the soil. Now the next thing that I would like to say is what are the instruments that you need to make the terrarium? Because you cannot put your hand into the bottle.
Yes.
Sometimes if the jar has a big mouth, probably you can put your hand inside, but then you don't have the space to move your hand inside. So there are
Yes.
certain things that you can use to plant your plant when you're doing that. So I normally use these sort of forceps,
Okay.
and not to laugh at it, I sometimes use a chopstick also. That is a
Oh,
secret.
wow. Oh.
And sometimes I use a screwdriver also. That's also a secret. Not everybody will tell you.
Anything that we get handy with a long,
That's right.
uh, pointy tip is good for work.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then with the forcep, it becomes easier to push the root into the soil because
Yes.
you're holding the plant, you've got a firm grip of the plant, and you just need to push it inside the soil.
Okay.
So this becomes easy. You can do with this also, you can do with these two also, but then
Okay.
you don't have a grip over the plant. You can
Yes.
push the root inside the soil, but the plant may fall here and there.
Yes. We need something else to hold the plant.
That's right. So initially, when I did my first bottle, I did not have this.
Okay.
I did it with the screwdriver and a
Oh.
chopstick.
Oh. So these tongs are, specifically for these terrariums?
Yes, people who keep aquariums and terrariums, they're specific for these.
Oh, okay. Great.
Now, besides this, now for many people do a lot of um, decking up, like decorating the terrarium. So they use these granules, colored marble chips.
Yes. Yeah, we find it very colorful.
Yes, it adds color. And then there are these miniatures. And I would say these miniatures are available with you also. You all are also selling those
Yes.
miniatures. So these
Yes.
are That is a, like, good place, because people, you normally you got to go hunting for them, that's where to find them. So
Yeah.
good that we know of a place now where to get them.
Yes.
So these are a few miniatures that I have. There are ample of more, but then I thought these would be, either of these would be sufficient for today.
Okay.
So
Great.
these are a few things that you need for terrariums, and there are many people, they're doing different things in the terrarium. They're doing layers, doing some sand layers, and uh, giving it a, like, for the aesthetic looks. It does not help in the growth of the plant. That is just
Okay.
to give it a aesthetic look.
Okay. The sand art.
Like, you must have seen, I have not
Yeah.
kept it over here.
We
There was
normally find
one.
sand art bottles.
Yeah, so people, they put those, a layer of white sand, then they will put little soil, then they will put another layer of brown sand. So it,
Yes.
gives a colorful look to the bottle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that you can start doing once you have got used to doing a simple terrarium. Probably I would advise start with just one plant, understand how that plant is doing, so you will know, you will understand how the cycle of that plant. Then the next time you can add another plant to that plant. That is how I had started doing, because clubbing plants together also is another science. Like, which
Yes.
plants you can club together.
Yes. Which plant goes with whom? There is a
Yes.
combination. Yeah.
Yes, they should be able to stay as a live as a family into that jar.
Yeah.
So maybe if I have put a fern and I put a Aurelia, maybe that Aurelia is much more hardy and the fern is a little delicate. So maybe the fern may not survive. Maybe the Aurelia is not happy with the fern around. So that is how I treat my plants. I treat them as humans. So maybe,
Oh.
like, the Aurelia has not liked the fern to be close to it. So that is the reason why the fern did not like it, or something like that. So
Okay.
uh, that is the next stage. Once you have successfully done one plant in a terrarium, then you start with two plants, then three plants, and then you start, like, with all those aesthetic things in the jar.
Okay. Wonderful.
So
Yeah. There's a message from your daughter. She wants me
okay,
to tell you that you rock. You're doing very well.
thank you. She has been my pillar. She is the one who pushed me into doing this, take it up. She is the one who made me quit my job and start this on an entrepreneurial basis. Like, you should do it, you should take this up professionally. She is the one who pushed me into this.
Oh, so lovely.
So I've had a lot of backing from my family, my children, my son and my daughter, and now my son-in-law. He's the one, like, everywhere he goes, he sees bottles. He keeps sending me pictures. Mom, see, I found a good bottle for you. So it's so wonderful to have a family like that.
Yes. Amazing. There was one question that was coming in my mind since a very long time. Do we need specific lids? Like you have cork tops for most of your bottles. So, do we need to have a cork to cover the bottle, or it can be a plastic lid or a tin, aluminium that we get for jams and all? You know,
It can be any lid.
any lid is okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, this one is a metal lid.
Okay. Yeah.
This one is a glass lid.
Okay. A glass lid is also fine.
Yeah. See, this one is a glass lid.
Okay. Okay.
This one is a wooden lid.
So
This is
there's
not.
no hard and fast rule, or there's no science behind the lid. It can be anything.
No, it can be any lid.
Okay, great.
So
So is there anything else that we need to know, or we can proceed to the making of the terrarium now?
yes, so what we will do is I will show you how I plant my plants in the terrarium. I'm taking this jar, and the plant that I'm going to plant in this one is the Fittonia. Okay, I need to just keep them aside. Okay, so when you're removing the plant from the pot or wherever you're pulling out the plant from, you need to be very just a minute. I'm so sorry about this.
It's okay.
Right. So wherever you're pulling out this plant from, you need to be careful that you do not break the roots.
Okay.
So I will just loosen the soil over here. You can see, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I will just remove all the soil that is there on this plant
Okay.
because this has got cocoa peat and perlite, which I don't want
All
in
right.
the terrarium. You have to be very careful when you're removing the soil so that you're not breaking the roots. Some roots will break, but be careful not to break most of the roots. Like since this has been in this pot for a long time, so the another reason why the plant may die in the terrarium is if it has got cocoa peat stuck onto the roots
Oh, okay.
because it retains moisture, a lot of moisture.
Oh, so that gets too much for the plant
That's
than
right.
needed.
Because sometimes what happens is like we do not understand that the cocoa peat is going to retain moisture. We add more water, forgetting that the cocoa peat is still stuck to the plant.
Yes.
So that could be one of the reasons why the plants die. Some people have the plants rotting inside. If you understand, if you have a very good understanding about the watering part, that okay, if there is little cocoa peat stuck to the root, the amount of water I should add, that helps.
Yes. There are a lot of things that we need to consider.
That's right. I mean, it is a huge science. It is, there are so many things. I mean, I've tried to cover most of the things that have come to my mind that they are essential. There have been many people who have been asking me questions about them. So those also I had on mind that I should be able to answer those sort of questions also. I've tried to cover them up.
Yeah, so Sanchi is also asking any suggestions for beginners. Please watch the making of the terrarium.
Yes,
I hope that will help you. So
yeah,
initially, we can start with just one family of plant, and then, as you were saying, then we can, as we master this art, then we can try to,
that's right. You will
combine
start.
different.
You will get the understanding of how the plant behaves in the jar.
Yes. So initially, you know, we should not try to be too enthusiastic and try to incorporate a lot of different varieties of plants and try to make it a very what
That's right.
crowded and
Yes,
atmosphere for the
once
jar.
you have mastered this art of like you can get the plant to survive inside, then go ahead and try it. There's no harm in experiment. You learn while experimenting. Maybe there are so many things that you experiment and you will teach me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've taken out most of the cocoa peat that was there into the roots,
Okay.
and now I've placed this inside, and now we'll add the soil. I'm so sorry, I need a spoon. Wait.
This is. very intricate work. When we are planting it in a pot, we can do it with our hands very roughly.
That's right. You have to be very careful when you're doing it in a jar.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, people are very curious about the soil. Archana, can you tell them, like, people really want to know, like, do we need to add fertilizer? Do we need to add manure, or how only? Because for plants in pots, we always suggest to add something, and this is just plain soil that you're saying.
See,
Yes, I can see. Yeah. So
I have
it's
not added any cocoa peat or manure in this.
okay. It's normal garden soil.
Yes. And if you want the soil, you can always tell me. I can send you the soil. What the soil that I prepare, I can always send that to you.
Okay. Is this red soil?
Yes, any normal soil.
Okay. And there was one more question that always amazes me. Like, how do the plant, do we, when we are moving the jars, will the plant fall or,
No, why will the plant fall? If you have planted the plant well and the roots have like uh, how you plant the plant in a pot, the
okay.
the soil holds the root, right?
Yes.
The same way the soil is going to hold the roots over here also.
All right. So it will not fall off when we move it.
No,
And what about the miniatures that we add? Those are like just kept on the soil, right? So will they
just
move?
push them. Just try to push them inside a little,
Okay.
or if you can get the miniatures with the stake, you
Oh,
can push them in the soil.
yes.
Okay, so I have the root covered.
There's another question, Archana. How should be the texture of the soil? People are
I just
really
showed it to you. I just showed
confused
it to
about
you.
the soil. Yeah.
It is the texture of the soil is like as I showed you.
Yes. Can we put sandy soil in it? Like, what should be the
No,
proportion?
as I said, I have not mixed anything in the soil. There is no cocoa peat, there is no fertilizer, there is no sand, there's nothing at all. I just prepare my soil. And that is the reason why, if anybody wants this soil, they can always DM me and I will have it sent.
Okay, great.
Okay, so now we are done with the soil. I have covered the roots.
Yes, lovely.
Okay, and now we need to just water it. So just a minute, I'll just come with the water. I forgot to keep it here.
Okay, okay. Okay, so everybody who's inquired about the soil, you can reach out to Archana on her Instagram channel, Earthy Elves. We have provided the link in the description box below, and you can uh, get your soil from her. And if you have any other queries, any other questions, any help that you need for making your terrariums, you can DM her there, and Surely she will help you out.
Okay.
And thank you for staying with us and watching the session.
Okay, so another essential thing for the terrarium is watering and a
Okay.
spray.
Okay, so we need to water with a spray.
That's right. What happens is, this is another secret that I'm giving out. Usually people don't say this.
Oh, okay.
Why I use a spray, why I say spray, because it cleans the sides of your bottle. Because
Oh,
when you're adding the soil
yes.
flies to the sides and it makes it muddy.
Yeah. Yeah, the glass gets cleaned and it looks nice.
That's right. Okay, so I'm done with watering and I
So, do
will
you
just,
see that the soil is well drenched in water? Is there any sign that that makes you understand that this is enough watering? Yeah, it's not very clear, but yeah, I can make out a little.
and I will just wipe the sides of the jar.
Uh huh. Actually, I wanted to ask you, like, we have other ways of growing, like soilless medium, where people grow in Lika,
Hmm.
indoor plants are kept. So, is that also possible for terrariums, or we need soil only?
I mean, soil is the best because it gets all the nourishment.
Okay, okay,
Soil will help decompose the fallen leaves, creates its own compost. So I think soil is the best medium.
okay.
And then leca will not give the same look to the terrarium as the soil would.
Yes. Okay, Sanchi is asking how to water terrarium with narrow head. Also, how
See,
you put soil through it.
the same way, use a spoon
Okay.
to add the soil or a funnel
Uh-huh.
and spray water.
But then we will not be able to clean it, right? Like the way you have cleaned now for the
Yes,
narrow
that is
bottle.
yes, that is the reason why I say a spray bottle helps a lot. That is the secret
Uh-huh.
of cleaning the bottle.
Okay.
So,
Wow, very beautiful.
and if you want to do some decoration, you will do little. You can add stones. I mean, the rocks. There are various ways that you can do it. Add rocks. Add uh, the small dry barks. Then
Okay.
add these colored chips.
Yeah, there was talking about this bark. There was one question earlier. How to choose this wooden piece?
Well, you get driftwood. You get ready driftwood in the stores.
Okay.
People who do gardening material, they have these driftwoods. You can get the driftwood from there according to the size that you want.
Uh-huh. So this jar that is there right in front, it I see that there is a level of the difference in level of soil.
Yeah, you
It's
can keep it like that is just for you can keep it level. Or I normally don't like to stamp the soil down.
okay.
It gives a natural look. If it is like not leveled, if it is a
Ye-
little haphazard, थोड़ा ऊपर थोड़ा नीचे ऐसे, So it gives a very natural look.
Okay. So yeah, I wanted to ask, like, do you purposefully make it in different levels, or it just happens by chance?
It happens by chance. Sometimes I do it purposely.
Oh,
This
okay.
I have done purposely because it is like, it gives a natural look.
Yes. Wow. It looks like a pond. Beautiful.
and
Amazing. Yeah.
and just see that the glass is clear,
Okay.
and you're
Okay. This is the time to close it. Now it's complete.
that's right. You just have to make sure that the lid is airtight.
Okay. Okay. Now sealed and done and ready to be.
Gifted.
Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. Very beautiful. It looks like a, and soil, and there's pink, those blue pebbles make it look like water.
That's right.
Lovely.
There is once you have mastered these, and there are you can get to different levels of making this. Now this is the one. This is not pebbles.
Oh, wow. This is beautiful.
So
It looks like a
just
lake.
first get used to doing it on a basic level. Then there are
Yeah.
so many things that you can do with it. You can play around with it in numerous ways.
Yes, yes. With different bottles, with different sizes, with different plants, and with different sceneries we can add in it.
That's right.
This was beautiful, Archana. Thank you so much. We had a wonderful session. We have comments coming in that looks very beautiful, and people have
So,
really enjoyed it. And we hope that you make your own terrariums, and you are successful this time, and you don't repeat the same mistakes. I hope you've learned a lot of tips and tricks to do it now.
yes, and keep me posted. Once you have done it, I would really love to see people who have made these terrariums, and please keep me posted with the pictures that you have made. I would just love that.
Yeah, amazing. So, thank you so much for joining us, Archana, and giving us your precious time. And we would love to see some of your new creations as well.
Definitely. You're going to see a lot of new things coming up. There are a lot of things in the pipeline. I'm playing around with these now. So there are
Okay,
many new things coming up.
lovely. We'll definitely have a great time ahead.
Yes,
So,
definitely. And
any
to
last
people, yes,
any last suggestions, any last tips that you would like to give to our viewers before winding up?
I think I have spoken very elaborately where people, I mean, I have told you my secrets.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's been a very elaborate session. Thanks to you for that. And I think we've covered practically everything that I do with the
Okay.
jars. So I would really love to see people making these terrariums, keeping them in their homes, decorating their homes with them. I know people are fond of plants, but they don't have the time to, do gardening. Just make one terrarium, keep it, forget it, and then keep me posted. Keep me posted on Earthy Else on Instagram. So I would love to see those pictures that you make.
Okay, fantastic. So, yeah, let's wind up now.
Right.
Thank you, everybody who has joined us today. And we are very glad that you got to interact with Archana and learn a lot from her. And we are also very pleased to have you with us today. Thank you for your time. And you can check out her Instagram page. Once again, I have posted the link in the description box below, and you can connect with her and ask her any type of questions that you like about the terrariums, and she will definitely help you out. Thank you, everyone. Okay, bye bye.
Bye, Zahra. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Bye bye.
Thanks to everybody who's been watching. I can see my family over there. It's so nice, you know. It's
Yes.
lovely to see them over here.
It's your sister-in-law, I think. She's also commented.
Yes, I have my sister-in-law. I have my colleagues. Yes, I.
Mm,
My brother is
amazing.
also watching.
Oh, wow. You've got a lovely family. Thank you,
Yes,
everybody, for supporting.
yes, yes. And my brother has always been. You know, we have been two of us have been very mischievous. We have been always called peas of the same pod. So we do a lot of things, a lot of mischiefs. Still, we continue with that now also.
Ah, lovely. Such a lovely family you have. Thank you, everybody, for supporting Archana and for making this session successful for us today. So, on this note, we'll say goodbye and let's stay connected with each other for more wonderful workshops.
Bye, bye. Thanks, and bye and thanks, Sarah.
You're most welcome, Archana. It was my pleasure. Bye
My
bye.
pleasure. Take care. Bye bye.